what's the rules of this meeting? Is it rude to eat an orange at it?
I think it's obligatory. If you want to eat an orange, it's definitely obligatory.
I'm going to eat. Okay.
I haven't got an orange. But so if I explain what I had in mind, and what I sort of started doing a while ago, and then I paused for longer than I wanted, was to have conversations with people who I think would be fun to have these conversations with. Fun or, devastatingly moving in different cases, about the thing about conversation itself.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you big questions about conversations that have been important to you, or small questions.
Okay.
And so one question would be, what have you learned about conversations as you have grown up?
Oh, the importance of listening. That's the main one. You don't have to have all the answers. That looking the other person in the eye is always the trick. And it gets harder. I find, as for some reason, as technology whizzes up and speeds up, and you become more unsettled at all times.
Yeah.
It's hard to look someone in the eye and say, "How are you?" But conversation works when I manage.
Right. So it's actually harder.
Conversation's definitely got harder, yeah.
So it's not the sort of, as you get older and wiser, it's easier.
No. For sure it happens.
How do you account for that?
It feels like part of my brain is sort of calcifying, but I am capable of being a really nice person and looking someone in the eye and spontaneously responding to them. But most of the time there's a sort of cupboard in the way, and the cupboard of anxiety. I'll be thinking about something I've got to do, and I'll be slightly bothered by a noise in the background or something. And so things get in the way.
And so you're quite conscious of yourself not listening?
Well, yes, or being bothered or distracted by other things, yeah.
So what do you do then? Do you pretend it's not happening?
I find if I've kind of gone to the forest and I've taken a few deep breaths, really quite sort of pagan, druid-like rituals are necessary to kind of rinse myself of all the sort of techno anxiety that gets in the way.
And then it's okay.
Yeah.
What have been the most important conversations in your life?
The most important conversations in my life. Wow. Very hard to answer. I've just let my mind go blank and tried to let an answer come in. And weirdly, I can't really say why. I'm thinking of a man called Bernard Treneman. I met him when I was 14, and I was at school, and there was a program where you had to go and see an old person and talk. And I didn't do that program. I was on another one. So I said, "Why? I'm not going to go." And he said, "Well, look, I want you to go, Andrew. I think you'd be right." And so I went. And it was in an old people's home. And this very, very old man was sitting there. And he had kind of bent hands. And he seemed quite bright. And I said to him, "Oh, I've been reading a book this morning, Mr. Treneman, by Margaret Yourcenar." And he went, "Oh, a very dear friend." And it turned out he knew everyone. He'd had holidays with Picasso, and he'd tutored the King of Spain. He was like a walking encyclopedia. And so we talked very happily for about 2 hours. And then he said, "Oh, you must come back next week." And I came back next week, and joyfully, even though it was a long cycle, it took me 50 minutes to get there each week. And he was alive. And his room was tidy, and he was full of happiness. And we had a very happy friendship, which lasted about 4 years, and then he died.
Wow.
So, yeah, the conversation, I suppose, was a conversation that brought him back to life. So I'm thinking of that one.
Wow. And so when you're thinking about that now, what's that like?
I'm feeling quite aware I could cry. That sort of again is slightly in the way of me
Right.
again responding to you, though not an unpleasant feeling.
Right, so is there kind of a strong nostalgia or sadness for him going, or what is that?
Not even really sadness, is it? You know, because it was a very happy relationship. We were good to each other, me and this man. I don't know. I find it's not necessarily sadness that makes you cry or makes me cry. It's when you're suddenly confronted with a big wad of life, and it sort of hits you suddenly. There's nowhere for all that emotion to go, so it sort of bursts out of your eyes.
Well, I enjoyed that. If you enjoyed it too, don't forget to subscribe by clicking here or here, and hope to see you soon. Bye.